we're going to be finding the product, so we'll be multiplying. And the first thing we're multiplying, the first term, is the multiplicative inverse of negative 10x. So when we're looking for the multiplicative inverse, we don't change the sign. So one thing I know for sure is this is still going to be negative. But when I think about 1 over 10x, the reciprocal of that, or the multiplicative inverse of that, is 10x. So now I have my first term, and I'm going to multiply that by the expression negative 10x minus 1/10. One thing I may want to do right off the bat is rewrite this subtraction as adding the opposite. So because I was subtracting 1/10, I might add a negative 1/10. I think that will help me on my next step. I'm going to distribute that negative 10x by multiplying each term. So I'll have negative 10x times 1 over 10x plus, I go back to the start, negative 10x times negative 1/10. So now I have these things sorted out and I can begin to simplify them. So in this first term here, I have a negative times a positive. That will definitely leave me with a negative. And I will have a 10 in the numerator and a 10 in the denominator, and those will cancel out. And I'll have an x in the numerator and an x in the denominator, and so I'm left with 1. Now please notice it's not 0. I'm still multiplying, so I'm just multiplying by 1. So I end up with negative 1. In our other term here, we have a negative times a negative, so that will give me a positive for my final answer. I'll have that 10 in the numerator from the first term and the 10 in the denominator in the second term. So when I factor out a factor of 10, that would give me 1. And then I'd have x times 1, which is x. I can't combine the negative 1 and the x because they're not like terms. One is a constant term, one is a variable term. But what I can do is stop here because this is the expression in standard form.